California, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Sports Show. Today we have ourselves quite the show, as we have a lot of sports happening in Southern California, such as the Chargers and Rams releasing their schedule for the 2005 season. Who do the Rams and Chargers kick off with in Week 1, and who will they be playing in the preseason leading up to said regular season? Also, we have ourselves quite a bit of baseball happening. We've got the Freeway Series happening as the Dodgers still look good, and the Padres are also looking pretty solid. Not too far back from the Dodgers. Unfortunately, the Angels have been the ugly duckling. Speaking of ugly ducklings in a league, the Cubs just continue to lose in the MLS, but San Diego FC is doing great guns, and LAFC is doing bad. They did tie against Vancouver, but they were able to pull off a massive win over Seattle. Also, we have an NWSL action. We have a scary moment happening in Angel City's win over Utah, and those four San Diego Waves, they almost had the win, but they had to settle for a tie against Portland. But still a valiant effort regardless. Also, we had one team from Southern California win a national championship, and one of their players did make headlines today. Who is that player, and what is that team, and what is that sport? All that and more here on the SoCal Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Friday afternoon, Friday morning, Friday wherever you're listening from. Either way, you've made your way in episode 229 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And without any further delay, let us begin. But first and foremost, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show would not be where it's at without IE Sports Radio providing the platform to go live on StreamYard. Please do follow IE Sports Radio on several different social media platforms such as X, Instagram, Facebook, and on TikTok. Also, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. We would greatly appreciate it. We're trying to reach 500 subscribers. We're on the road to that number. We just recently surpassed 400, and with your help, we can definitely make it to 500. So please do subscribe to us on YouTube. And in case you're wondering, definitely do leave in the comment section of this show or any show of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show that you subscribed because of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Also, make sure to check out our website, iesportsradio.com, for all of your latest sports news, our blog, our page dedicated to each podcast, such as the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, our merchandise shop where you can cop t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, and so much more. Also, check out our Hall of Fame where yours truly is inductee number 10. Also, check out our blog as well, and so much more. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports teams around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. A huge shout out to our sponsors, Plant Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, and Vital Apparel. So without any further delay, let's get on in to what our sponsors are all about.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
That's right, everybody. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows and our sponsors and our website. And also, yesterday was actually IE Sports Radio's birthday. So it now is for the last 11 years, not 10 years. So So now for the last 11 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities all around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. And the way you can follow the SoCal Supreme Sports Show on social media is on X, formerly known as Twitter, at SoCal Show ISR. And you can follow me, the host, personally on X as well, at Teran Rodriguez 1. All right. So without any further delay, let us begin. We're going to try to make this as short and sweet of a show as possible because I actually am not feeling 100%. I actually am battling a little bit of a head cold, but it's all good. I mean, I think I might have caught it Wednesday when I was checking out a scrimmage between two high school football teams and whatnot. So there's that. So honestly, but I'm not going to stop here and basically not do the show. I gotta put on for the people. So without any further delay, let's get started. So both the NFL teams from the Los Angeles area have released their schedule. The Chargers have released their schedule. Hold on, let me. There we go. So yeah, the Chargers have released their schedule, and the Rams have released their schedule. So I think it's safe to say we should start off with that because NFL is king. So the Chargers have released the 2025 schedule. And honestly, when it comes to their schedule release, they just crush it every year. Their social media team is just on one. It's on point. It's absolutely amazing. And honestly, well done. Like it just seems to get better and better every year. Their first 2 years, or actually not their first 2 years, I think 3 years ago, they wound up doing an anime, and then last year they did a Sims schedule release, and now this year they did a Minecraft schedule release, which I thought was pretty cool if you ask me. So very, very informative, and the Chargers just don't miss when it comes to their schedule release. So salute to the Chargers media team. So awesome sauce. All right, but let's go over their schedule just because their schedule has been released and whatnot. All right, so their schedule is as follows. So they actually didn't put down their preseason games, which I think is a little sad, but whatever. So the 2025 schedule is as follows. They start off week 1 in Brazil against the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, God. Of all the teams that I wanted the Chargers to face, this was the one I was hoping they would not face. I really was hoping that the Chargers wouldn't face the Chiefs to start off the season, just because Jim Harbaugh never loses in season openers, but at the same time, the Chiefs always have the Chargers number. Now, some people have been saying that the Chiefs are not going to be winning the division, aka Colin Cowherd. Yeah, that's a bit of a stretch if you ask me, but for the Chargers, this is going to be a challenge. This is going to be a challenge already. And they lost Joey Bosa to free agency and a few other players as well. So it's kind of going to be a rebuilt defense. They still have Khalil Mack, which I think is awesome. And I think the O-line for the Chiefs should still be fine, even though they lost Joe Thuney. So that's week 1. So the Chargers play the Chiefs in Brazil. Then in week 2, the Chargers have their first primetime game. They'll be on Monday Night Football against, I hope I don't ravage my voice too much with this, but the Chargers will be facing Raiders in Las Vegas for Monday Night Football. So right off the bat, I already have a decision to make. I either have to choose between doing set point at its normal time or just moving set point to watch Monday Night Football. I think the answer might be obvious. I might be moving I think I might not be the Chargers should win that one on paper, but you never know with the Chargers. So we'll have to wait and see. Then week 3, the Chargers are back home against the Broncos. Week 4, they're on the road against the Giants. Week 5, they're at home against the Commanders. Week 6, they're on the road against Miami. Week 7, they're back at home against the Colts. Then in week 8, the Chargers have a very short week as they're back home. They're still at home, but they take on the Minnesota Vikings on Thursday Night Football, which I think should be an intriguing matchup just because, well, the Vikings are a solid team. I mean, they finished with the second best record in the league only to lose via tiebreaker, only to lose it because of, well, one loss to the Rams and then 2 losses to the Lions. So there you go. And then week 9, the Chargers are at Tennessee. Week 10, the Chargers have another primetime game. This time they'll be taking on the Steelers. So that's going to be a very fun game right there. Week 11, Chargers are in Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. That should kind of be a little bit of a chip on most of those players' shoulders, just because that we all remember the last time the Chargers played Jacksonville, period. They wound up losing, and they wound up having that debacle of a game courtesy of Brandon Staley. Anyway, so week 11, that's when they played the Jaguars. Week 12, they have their bye, so no early bye this week. Week 13, the Chargers are back at home when they take on Raiders. So, okay, I probably won't do that anymore just because that's starting to really ravage my voice. And then week 14, the Chargers are still home when they take on the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football. So that'll be their final primetime game unless they get flexed into primetime. So that's going to be quite fascinating right there. I mean, the Eagles are obviously the Super Bowl champions, and I'm kind of dreading that. So I may not be watching that game for at least the first half. I might just do set point just to, not kick myself for not watching the Chargers lose to a superior opponent. But you never know. And then week 15, the Chargers are on the road against the Kansas City Chiefs. Week 16, the Chargers are also on the road again as they take on the Dallas Cowboys. Week 17, that one should be a fun one. They take on the Houston Texans, which is a rematch of last year's AFC wildcard game, which I'm sure a lot of the Chargers players are going to have a massive chip on their shoulder. And then week 18, the Chargers close off the regular season against the Denver Broncos. So there you have it right there. That is the Chargers 2025 schedule. And look, this looks like a little bit of a tough schedule. I mean, Chiefs, they've got 3 division opponents right off the bat, 2 of which made the playoffs. And they got an improved Giants team. Raiders, I think, will be somewhat improved. Commanders are obviously well improved. Dolphins, I'm not sure. I think that could be a win just because we don't know what's happening with them. I mean, in Tua and Tyreek and whatnot. Colts, that should be a win. I mean, I highly doubt the Chargers are losing to that team, whether it's Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, etc. The Vikings win should be 50-50, depending on which Vikings team the Chargers get. It could be a high-scoring affair. It could be an ugly affair. We'll see. Titans, that should be a win just because the Titans are still kind of in that young stage. Steelers, that kind of can be a win. I mean, at least they're not going to Heinz Field. But at the same time, it's so tough to gauge the Steelers. Like, they're kind of the Joker out of the deck of cards. They could be a wild card. They could be really good, and then they could be really bad. And I'm hoping for the Chargers' sake they get the really bad Steelers. The Jaguars kind of could be a win. I mean, the Jacksonville team is nowhere near the Jacksonville team like they were back a few years ago. But at the same time, it's like I'm pretty sure a lot of those Jaguars fans are going to be bringing out the poster that says 27-0 and whatnot. And then Eagles will obviously be a tough one. Raiders, the Raiders, when the Chargers host them, they more often than not, the Chargers always more often than not win. Last year was kind of an exception where the Chargers wound up winning both games, but we'll see. And then the Chiefs, obviously, you look at Eagles Chiefs back-to-back. They get those two on back-to-back, and they get the Chiefs on a short week. So thanks, NFL, for kind of screwing over the Chargers, but I digress. Cowboys should be winnable, but it all depends on if everyone is healthy and whatnot. Texans is 50-50, especially after last year's playoff performance. And then the Broncos in Week 18. I'm very surprised the Chargers beat the Broncos in Denver last year, even though they almost whipped a 21-0 lead. But I think with another year underneath Bo Nix's belt, I think the Chargers might have a little bit more of a difficulty containing the Broncos, but we shall see. But that is that for the Chargers schedule right there in a nutshell. I think it's going to be very fun if you ask me. I'm really excited for this Chargers season. Expectations are now high. So last year they kind of weren't high. Some had the Chargers borderline of making the playoffs. Some had the Chargers making the playoffs in their first year under Jim Harbaugh. Some had the Chargers just missing the playoffs outright or just barely missing the playoffs. But I'm really excited for this Chargers season. It's a really good time to be a Chargers fan. So there you go. All right. Now let's move on to the Rams schedule. So the Rams released their 2025 schedule. Not as creative as the Chargers media team, but they actually got Brenda Song to do the schedule release, which I thought was pretty cool. I actually saw it yesterday. It was very, very fun times. And I thought it was pretty darn good, if you ask me. So in case you're wondering who Brenda Song is, no, she's not going to be an analyst for the Rams defensive, or she's not going to be co-defensive coordinator for the Rams with Don Shula. It doesn't say who she is, and the Rams don't even follow Brenda Song. So, okay, I guess it looks like she's probably an actor or actress, just because apparently one of the things that she's reposted she's part of. But I digress. I mean, yeah, co-star. Yeah, it says on Netflix that here's the first look at Kate Hudson in Running Point, a new comedy series. So she's probably a comedian because some of the jokes that she had were pretty darn funny. But anyway, looking at the Rams schedule. All right, well, for starters, the Rams have a very, very challenging schedule to kick things off. I think it's going to be a very, very, very. It's going to be a very tough schedule, but I think it's going to be a very fun schedule, if you ask me. So here's their schedule. So unlike the Chargers, the Rams actually put their preseason games. And hold on, let me take this off real quick. I hate having to do this to my Tommy Bahama Chargers shirt, but I gotta rep the Rams and the Chargers. So anyway, so preseason, I'm just gonna say it right now. I don't really care for preseason. I mean, I will kind of care for the Chargers playing in the Hall of Fame game. I think that's where everyone and their moms gathers around a TV and says, "Oh my God, there's football happening soon." Yes. However, it's not real football. It's just preseason. It's just a scrimmage. I mean, cool that it's a Hall of Fame game, and we're going to be inducting a bunch of new Hall of Famers into the Hall of Fame, and the Lions get to face the Chargers, and we all could maybe gawk and say, "Oh my God, that could be the future. That could be this year's Super Bowl." Let's all slow our roll here. But preseason for the Rams, they are home against the Cowboys, home against the Chargers, and then they're on the road against the Browns. That's your preseason schedule. We don't care. Anyway, week one, the Rams open up their schedule really tough. They got the Houston Texans at home, which Houston fans will not be flying out for a Beyonce concert, as Brenda Song alluded to in the schedule drop. But yeah, Texans already right off the bat. Yikes. That's already a 50-50 matchup. And then week two, the Rams are on the road against the Tennessee Titans. Then week three, the Rams are on the road against the Eagles. Oh, well, okay. Well, the Titans will be improved, but that's kind of a tricky matchup right there. I mean, Titans could be a tricky matchup, but they've also got the Eagles, which I'm pretty sure the Rams have got that loss to them in the divisional round in the back of their minds. And then week four, they've got the Colts, and then week five is a short week for the Rams as they're home against the Niners. So it's home against the Texans, road against the Titans and Eagles, home against the Colts, home against the Niners. And then they've got another tough matchup. After they face the Niners, week six, they are on the road against Baltimore. Yikes. Yeah, the Rams got a very tough schedule. And then the following Sunday, they're technically not on the road. They are actually going to be playing in good old jolly England against Duval, a.k.a. the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Rams and Chargers get to face the Jacksonville Jaguars. Or the Jaguars. It was so fanciful. But that's a week 7 where the Chargers have that, or not the Chargers. The Rams have an international matchup against the Jags. But then week 8, they have their bye. Kind of nice spot to have the bye. Then week 9, the Saints will be back at home. The Rams will be at home against the Saints. Oh, great. Another year where we get to see Saints fans whining and complaining about how they were robbed in that 2019 or 2018-19 conference championship. Saints fans, get over it. You've got a lot more problems on your hands now. Like, who the heck is going to be your quarterback with Derek Carr retired? Anyway, so week 10, the Rams are on the road against the Niners. Week 11, they're home against the Seahawks. Week 12, they're home against the Buccaneers on Sunday Night Football. Then on the third, then in week 13, they're on the road against the Panthers. Week 14, they're on the road against the Cardinals. Week 15, they're home against the Lions. Thank God the Rams don't have to face Detroit in Detroit, but I digress. And then week 16, the Rams are on the road against the Seahawks. Ugh, that's a real interesting matchup. Yeah, and this one, so they've got a short week against the Seahawks, and then they've got a long week against the Falcons because they face the Falcons on Monday night, which I think is pretty cool. And then their final regular season game is against the Cardinals. All right, looking at the schedule at a glance, Texans is already 50-50. Titans should be a win. I mean, Cam Ward can't possibly light up the Rams defense, especially since in its first year, the Rams took leaps and bounds. The Eagles should probably be a clunker game, as my brother would say, especially if it's snowing. Oh, God, if it's snowing, that's going to be dreadful for Matthew Stafford. The Colts should be a win. Okay, Niners are kind of 50-50. Like, Niners have aging stars, and they're going to be rebuilding. I think it could be a win, but you never know what Niners team we're going to get. I mean, everyone and their moms thought the Niners were going to be contenders. They wound up belly flopping. And we also got to see the Rams sweep the regular season series against the Niners, which I think every Rams fan can attest to. That was pretty cool. And the Ravens one, I think that's going to be a clunker as well. I mean, don't get me wrong. Last time these two teams faced one another, Rams took the Ravens to overtime, but I just don't think they have the offense and the defense to keep up with Lamar Jackson. And they're on the road, so at the very least, they will get a longer week, but I just don't think the Rams will be able to handle that much horsepower. The Jaguars should be a win, but Jags always play good in England. The Saints should clearly be a win. I can't imagine. I mean, there are rumors saying that they're going to trade Chris Olave. So Saints have more problems than a geometry book or trigonometry book. And then at the Niners, that one's 50-50 as well. Then they've got the Seahawks after the Niners in week 11. Okay, that one's also kind of 50-50. I mean, the first and only true meeting where the Rams played all their starters, the Rams managed to eke out a win against Seattle, even without Puka Nacua, who unfortunately got ejected because he threw a punch. But what can you do? The Bucs is kind of 50-50. It seems like the Rams have a better chance at beating the Bucs than normal, but I'm not too sold on that one. I think that one could be a clunker game for the Rams as well. I think they barely lose that one. The Panthers should be a win. Cardinals are kind of 50-50. They have a good team. They went all defense in the draft. I'm not sure what we can expect with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray, but we shall see. Lions, I think that'll be a clunker game for the Rams. Even though I think the Rams could probably eke out a win, I just think that the Lions will they just have too much firepower, and Jared Goff will be making his return to SoFi, even though he already did that when he played the Chargers, but I digress. Then on the road against the Seahawks, that's a short week for the Rams. Oh, I kind of give that another 50-50 game. At Falcons, all right. This one kind of has a lot of meaning. You know why? Because the Rams traded their first-round pick for the Falcons' first-round pick of the 2026 draft. So the moral of the story, the more the Falcons lose, the more the Falcons, the better the pick that the Rams will have when it comes to the Falcons. So if any team is facing the Falcons this year, Rams are rooting for you. But yeah, long week right there. I mean, I think that could be that's another 50-50 game, but I think the Rams should win that one. I mean, it's in Atlanta, but I think I give the Rams a much better chance at winning against the Falcons than the Seahawks. And then the Cardinals one, that's going to depend on what the playoff implications are. If the Rams have locked in a spot, then I could see them resting starters. If they haven't locked in a spot, then maybe they can maybe they'll have to play everybody. But we'll have to see. I mean, and maybe if they're playing for playoff positioning, then maybe the Rams will, probably play all their starters and whatnot. So again, it's a time will tell process. I can't, fully predict what's about to happen, but we'll see. It's going to be a very fun season for the Rams. Expectations are high for the Rams just because, well, the Rams did wind up winning the division last year, and they came so close to make it to the NFC Championship. If they had made the NFC Championship, that would have been so fun, and they would have gotten a home game. They would have gotten another home game, which I think would have been super awesome. But unfortunately, the Rams fell a few yards short. I think this year could also be do or die for Kyren Williams. If Kyren Williams has a bunch of fumbles, which could cost the Rams in crucial games, I think it's chops. I think it's snip right there for Kyren Williams. But I think Kyren Williams knows this, and he knows he's going to have to put on another amazing season. Otherwise, he's going to be heading to Mr. Bench, or he's going to be getting traded soon. But we'll see. All right, but that is that for the NFL portion of the show. All in all, great schedule releases by both teams, especially the Chargers. Hats off to both of them as well. I really can't wait for the season to begin, and I also can't wait for the Hall of Fame game. I think it's going to be very fun, if you ask me. I've been slacking on the people in the chat room. My boy Marcus Los Great says salute. Thank you, my boy Marcus. And then Jess says, heads up, Galaxy's head coach got a contract extension. I can't believe this. They have set the record for most games without a win, and they're still going to keep him. Well, that is quite interesting. And you know what? That's actually a perfect segue to go into the MLS. But first, we got to continue to read off the comments. Davidson Crooks pops in the chat room. He says, what's good? Hey, DC, good to have you. Oh, I had a feeling Marcus was going to say this. He says, Niners smoke. Okay. Well, let me tell you something. Look, Niners are going to have the benefit of the doubt. I'll give the Niners the benefit of the doubt. They're going to have a much easier schedule, and they'll probably make the playoffs. But I'm going to call it right now. They're not making this. They'll be lucky to even make the Super Bowl. But heck, I'll even go as far as to say they won't make the Super Bowl. They won't make the Super Bowl, and they for sure won't even win the Super Bowl. So calling it right now, Niners won't make the Super Bowl. Marcus forced my hand, and I have to do it. So, and then Brian Francione says, good afternoon, Teran. Well, good afternoon to you too, Brian. Thank you for popping in. Sorry if I've been slacking on the chat room, but going back to what Jess said, Galaxy's head coach got a contract extension. So let's actually segue into the MLS. And unfortunately, Jess spoke it into the comment section. The Galaxy wound up losing twice. They lost on Wednesday to Philadelphia, and then last Saturday when they got hammered by freaking what's their face? NYCFC. No, not NYCFC. And the New York Red Bulls. I should know this because I actually was just watching Ricky K's show. So, yeah, the Galaxy. Oh God, yeah. Where do I start with the Galaxy? So their head coach got a contract extension. Now, in the defense, he did lead the Galaxy to an MLS Cup championship, which, I mean, that's 6 stars right there for the Galaxy. Pretty cool. And it even says so on the Associated Press. So this was released an hour ago. So Galaxy extend coach despite winless start. Well, I hope that's good. I hope that's good for the future because it's not looking good now. But looking at this horrid game against the New York Red Bulls, oh boy. The Galaxy just got hammered by the New York Red Bulls 7-0. The New York Giants beat the LA Rams 7-0. This is sad. Like, oh my God. It's so bad, dude. It's so bad. And the Red Bulls got an own goal just to add insult to injury. And the worst part is that the Galaxy kind of outpossessed them. But the big issue for the Galaxy was shots on goal. New York had 11 shots on goal, while the Galaxy had 6. At least they didn't lose without allowing a shot on goal like last week against Sporting KC. But oy, 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 oy. And the Red Bulls goalie had 6 saves. So this was tough. Let's throw that one away and let's just move on. And then against Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Union, one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference, the Galaxy lost again. So this was a midweek match, and this one it hurts even more. So Galaxy went up 2-0 after a goal from Mauricio Cuevas in the 31st minute, and then 6 minutes after that, Diego Fagundes scored. So it's looking really good for the Galaxy. They're also up, and that actually was the halftime score. It was 2-0, and it's looking really good for the Galaxy. They're finally going to get their first win, right? No. So Nathan Hariel scored for the Union to get them on the board, and then 2 minutes after that, Ty Baribo scored for the Union. So suddenly after it was 2-0 Galaxy, it's now 2-2. And then eventually it becomes 2-2 all the way up until stoppage time. And then the Philadelphia Union got a goal courtesy of Baribo, and that was that. Oh, my God. Why can't the Galaxy play actual football? It's muy basura. Ay vey. Like, that's sad, dude. It's like, I don't know which game was more sad. The one against the Union where they were up 2-0 at halftime and they wound up losing in extra time, or the New York Red Bulls one where they just wound up laying a goose egg and they just got stomped all over. So Jess actually mentioned something that I'm going to be alluding to later, but Ralph Cleese says, "Good afternoon, Teran. Have a great show." Thank you, Ralph. All right, so Jess actually talks about El Tráfico being this Saturday, but that's actually a perfect segue to go into LAFC on how they did. So LAFC had a bit of mixed results. They split against Vancouver on Sunday, and then the midweek matchup on Wednesday, they just hammered Seattle. So we'll start off with the Vancouver matchup. So this was this wasn't the team that beat LAFC, but it was the team that's representing the U.S. Open Cup. I think it's the CONCACAF. Yeah. Anyway, so 8 minutes in, LAFC scores courtesy of Mark Delgado. So LAFC is up 1-0. And then Dennis Buwanga, a.k.a. Captain Los Angeles, manages to draw a penalty kick. And then LAFC's Dennis Buwanga knocks that one in. And now suddenly it's 2-0 in favor of LAFC. So it's looking real good for LAFC, right? No. 7 minutes after Buwanga's penalty kick, which led to the goal, Brian White scored for the Whitecaps to make it 2-1 in favor of LAFC, which actually was the halftime score. And then 25, am I doing my math right? 25 minutes into the second half, White scores again for the Whitecaps. And unlike the Galaxy, LAFC did manage to hold on and get 1 point, but they still managed to squander a 2-0 lead. But at least it wasn't a 2-0 halftime lead. I will say that. So Ralph actually says something that I actually alluded to earlier in the show. He says, "Looking forward to Week 10, Steelers Chargers primetime Sunday night, facing with Najee Harris is going to be interesting." Oh yeah, that's true. So that's another reason why the that might be another reason why the Chargers and Steelers were in prime time. And then Jess puts that the Whitecaps showed why they're number one in the Western Conference. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. I'm bearing the lead here. Whitecaps were the best team in the Western Conference, and it showed for a good reason. Like, LAFC got off to a good start, but there was plenty of time for the Whitecaps to knot the game up or to at least threaten to take the lead. And Brian White was definitely big time for said Whitecaps team. So there you have it right there. I forgot. I was bearing the lead right there. So yeah. Now against the Seattle Sounders, LAFC looked a lot more offensive than they did against Vancouver, as they wound up stomping all over Seattle 4-0. That's payback for after Seattle beat them in the playoffs last year, except this one kind of came a little too late in terms of which team beat which team. But it's always good when LAFC beats Seattle, one of their rivals. Anyway, so LAFC had 7 shots on goal. They outpossessed Seattle by quite a bit, as they got the goals from Cengiz Under in the 22nd minute, which actually was the only goal in the first half for LAFC. So LAFC was up 1-0. Then the 51st minute, Jeremy Bobis scored for LAFC. So now it's 2-0. Then the 80th minute, Dennis Bouanga, everyone's favorite LAFC player, scored for LAFC. So now it's 3-0. It's looking really good for LAFC. And then 6 minutes after that, Yaboa scored for LAFC, managed to knock in the 4th goal for LAFC, clinching the win. So excellent job by LAFC. That's how you do it. That's how you take down a rival big time. So great job to them. Now for the last MLS team, and that is San Diego. So San Diego FC, they were actually the only team that went 2 for 2. So the Galaxy wound up going 0 for 2. And then the LAFC went 1 for 2. Well, not 1 for 2, but like 1.5 for 2. You know what I mean? They didn't lose, but they tied and then they won. But San Diego FC was the only team that wound up winning both of their matches leading up to today. There you go. Anyway, so last Saturday, San Diego took on St. Louis City SC. So the scoring did not happen until way later in the game. So San Diego got its first goal courtesy of Milan Ilowski. So San Diego's up 1-0. Then 8 minutes after that, Anders Dreyer scores. So now San Diego's up 2-0 late in the game. It's looking really good for San Diego. But then stoppage time happens, and then St. Louis City's Kyle Hebert scores. And thankfully that goal came later in the game. Thankfully, there was just not enough time for St. Louis to get another goal. So San Diego pulls off the win. Even though they had less shots on goal than St. Louis, they did control time of possession, which I thought was pretty nice if you ask me. So good work for San Diego. And they did themselves even more better by taking down Colorado. So they got a little revenge against those Colorado Rapids, which I thought was very nice. San Diego dominated time of possession, and Christopher McVeigh scored the first goal for San Diego FC to give San Diego the 1-0 lead, which was the halftime score. And then in the 58th minute, 13 minutes into the second half, Anders Dreyer scores for San Diego. So eventually San Diego pulls off the 2-0 win and gets a little revenge against those Colorado Rapids. So serves them right for handing them their first loss this season, I think. Anyway, so San Diego had 9 shots on goal to Colorado's 5, and they had 28 shot attempts overall. So San Diego was kicking for the fences. So good job to San Diego, as they are back in action this week when they host Sporting KC. Now, that one could be a little interesting because Sporting KC is actually playing a lot better than they were previously. And as Jess alluded to in the chat room earlier, El Tráfico is this weekend, so Galaxy will look to try to win their first game or the first match of the season, as this is just becoming really sad. It's getting more sad by the day. It's so sad that the Galaxy actually are the only team without a win in the MLS. The other team that didn't have a win in the MLS going into Saturday's matches was CF Montreal, and they wound up beating NYCFC on the road. So I think it was on the road. Either way, they wound up beating NYCFC. So there you go. All right, Galaxy, you got to get a win here. But knowing LAFC, they're going to do all that they can to make sure Galaxy stay winless, just because, well, everyone is this is a rivalry and all, and anything can happen. But LAFC knows that it's business and not personal. And then Jess asks, so what is it, 14 games without a win now? I think you are right. Well, if they don't beat LAFC on Sunday. So it's a matinee matchup. All right, so that's a Sunday matchup, and it's going to be at the former StubHub Center, the Dignity Health Sports Park, which I actually got to go to really cool place, and I got to see a little bit of the Galaxy Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, I couldn't take pictures, but I digress. Anyway, but Galaxy LAFC is this weekend. I'm going to really have fun with this, and I can't wait. So we shall see what happens with LAFC and the LA Galaxy, but that's going to do it for the MLS portion of the show. We're going to take ourselves our first commercial break. When we come back, we've got some NWSL happening. Then we got some MLB to discuss, some WNBA, and some NCAA men's volleyball. Keep it locked here. You're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IA Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Locke.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Big Mike from Indie Sports Nation. Come hang out with me each and every Friday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, where we talk things Indiana sports. We talk Colts, Pacers, Fever, Indy Ignite, and we dive into the college scene as well. Boilermakers, Hoosiers, Irish, Bulldogs, and every school in between. And we don't stop there. We'll sprinkle in some NHRA and cover the IndyCar series. From the turf to the hardwood to the track, we got you covered. Come hang out with your boy, Big Mike, each and every Friday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Indie Sports Nation, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Back with segment number 2 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out our amazing shows such as Indie Sports Nation. That'll actually be on in a little bit, in about an hour or so. So definitely do check that out. Also check out Fast Break. NBA playoffs are heating up. Unfortunately, the Lakers are not in it, but it is what it is. All right, so let's actually talk some NWSL. So Angel City managed to beat Utah 2-0, which I thought was pretty darn good if you ask me. Unfortunately, they kind of got a little bit of a scare in that game. That game against Utah was pretty darn scary if you ask me, as they actually got a health scare courtesy of Savvy King. So it was somewhere in the game. I think it was like in the second half of the game. Yeah, and play resumed 10 minutes after that. So after Savvy King was taken to the hospital. So in a statement, the NWSL said that it would abandon future games when players have life-threatening emergencies, acknowledging Friday that the game should have ended after Angel City's Savvy King collapsed on the field during the match on May 9th. So, yeah, that was scary stuff. And it says that she subsequently underwent surgery for a heart abnormality discovered after her collapse. So, yeah, it's scary. She is in stable condition, and she obviously got that treated. So that is scary stuff right there. And I totally agree. It's like we really should have, not seen this. We really shouldn't have not seen a match happen just because everyone was like so concerned. Like, who cares about the win or the loss? It's like all we care about is the safety of Savvy King, and you never know if someone else could have gotten hurt or someone could have had another life-threatening injury. So, or not life-threatening injury, life-threatening illness. So I'm glad Savvy King is still doing well, and I hope she has a speedy recovery. And Jess actually adds, she's the host of our soccer show, Shin Pads and Shenanigans. She said, I think they're going to review the protocols for emergencies after what happened with King, who is stable and recovering now. Yes. So yeah, I hope they do, and I hope they pretty much move forward with basically ending the game so nobody else has to deal with that, just because I'm pretty sure Angel City had Savvy King on their minds. And I think both teams had Savvy King on their minds, just because that's scary stuff, dude. Like a threatening injury, a threatening condition, which could, while you're playing the sport that you love as a profession, that's scary, dude. So I'm glad Angel City did pick up the win, though. But I would also be more glad if Angel City were to, get this great news that Savvy King is ready to come back, and she is 100% or at least close to that. So that's all we got to hope for when it comes to Angel City and Savvy King. So Jeff, definitely do keep her in your prayers, as Angel City is back in action tomorrow when they hit the road to take on Bay FC. So it's SoCal versus NorCal, and hopefully for Angel City's sake, they can take down Bay FC. So, so there's that right there. And then for San Diego, they actually had a nice little home game against Portland. Unfortunately, they did not pull off the win, but they didn't lose either. They wound up playing to a 1-1 tie. So early in the game, 6 minutes, and San Diego's Kimi Asanio scored for San Diego. So now it's 1-0 in favor of San Diego. Everything's going hunky-dory, right? No. San Diego actually picks up a red card courtesy of Kennedy Wesley. So San Diego is now down one player, but they're still leading 1-0. They're preserving this 1-0 lead to the best of their abilities. They're even out-possessing Portland by quite a bit. But here comes stoppage time, and I don't get why you get 8 or so minutes of stoppage time. I think maybe stoppage time should be 5 minutes, but that's coming from my bias speaking of that, but I digress. But Jaden Perry manages to draw a penalty shot, and then she buries said penalty kick, and Portland manages to snag 1 point from the jaws of defeat. So, unfortunately for San Diego, they were oh so close, as Jess puts in the chat room. She says San Diego was seconds away from a win if it hadn't been for a penalty kick. Yeah, and it sucks because San Diego, even though they were down one player, they nearly had it. They nearly had that one, but unfortunately, you gotta play well throughout most of the game, and you have to just play clean. Unfortunately, they just did not do that, but it is what it is sometimes. So 1 point is better than no points, but 3 points would have definitely been better than 1 point, but I digress. Anyway, so San Diego is back in action tonight when they hit the road to the Big Apple to take on Gotham FC. So that's going to be a fun one. So Gotham has had the honor of taking down one SoCal team. I don't want to see them taking down another. And this game actually could be quite big for both teams because San Diego is only 2 points ahead of Gotham. So one win for Gotham could jump them into the top 4. So we shall see. Same can be said for San Diego or for Angel City. Angel City, if they play their cards right, then they could still be. Yeah, if they play their cards right, then they could jump Washington, if not Orlando. But at the same time, it's like you still got to win your game, and you got to hope that other teams don't lose. I mean, it's still fairly early. I mean, interestingly enough, Angel City and San Diego both have the same record. They have the same record and the same number of points. The only difference is goal differential, which San Diego has that category on lock. But that's probably because of Gotham FC managing to just stomp all over Angel City. But it is what it is. So you have that right there, and that's pretty much that for NWSL action. I mean, tonight's matchup should be a barn burner, and I think Angel City should handle Bay FC. I mean, the pride of Southern California matters when you take on a NorCal team, so please don't lose. Anyway, so that is that for the NWSL portion of the show. So now let's jump on over to some WNBA. So the Sparks open up their season tonight on the road against the not the Orlando Valkyries. I'm thinking of the PVF, the Golden State Valkyries. So the two teams actually faced each other in preseason, where the Sparks wound up winning 83-82. But that was just preseason. We're not gonna base tonight's game off of preseason. But go figure. The Golden State Valkyries' first game ever is against a SoCal team in the Sparks, and it's probably the most longest running. Probably one of the more longer running WNBA teams out there. And of course, the WNBA scriptwriters had to cook with this one. The first game for the NorCal team is against the SoCal team. Go figure. Freaking WNBA scriptwriters. But they were cooking. I can see that. But this one's going to be fun. I hope for the Sparks' sake they can, pick up the win against their NorCal rival, because nothing would be worse than losing to them. And also, hopefully the Sparks can actually have a better season. They've got a lot of good pieces on their team. They got Kelsey Plum from the Las Vegas Aces, which I thought was pretty darn good. Their draft, I thought they were pretty solid. Cameron Brink should be back, hopefully. They got Diarca Hammy back, which I think is pretty solid as well. Rakea Jackson, I think, will be pretty darn good. Should still be pretty darn good as well. And so on and so forth. So hopefully for the sake of this Sparks team, they could actually have success under Lynn Roberts. So this is going to be another coach that they've gone through. So hopefully they have found the most ideal coach. They went through two coaches already, one of which was a former NBA legend in Derek Fisher. Hopefully this is the year that they finally get back to having a lot of success, because I can't stand it. So I think Sonia Fegan is their new first-round draft pick. Her or Sarah Ashley Barker. I think it's Ashley Barker who's the first-round pick. But all in all, this looks like a solid roster. I think this team has a mixture of experience and youth. So I think it's good. And I'm glad they have experienced players like Kelsey Plum to teach the younger girls how everything goes. Same with Diarca Hammy. She was definitely a bright spot for this Sparks team. I thought the Sparks reviving Diarca Hammy's career was very impressive, even though it was a complete travesty of a season last year for the Sparks, especially when they lost Cameron Brink. That was just not fun. But I think this year is going to be it should be a good season. I really want to see the Sparks back in the postseason. I think it would be good because they are the OG team of the WNBA. So we shall see when it comes to the Sparks this year. I'm just hoping for positivity. I at least want to see a playoff berth. If we can get at least a playoff berth with the Sparks, then I will be happy. But for the time being, I'm just hoping for the best. Sunday, the Sparks will face the Minnesota Lynx. Then Wednesday, the Sparks are on the road against the Phoenix Mercury. And then next Friday, the Sparks are home against said Golden State Valkyries team. So they get to face Golden State quite a bit. And they're playing at Chase Center. Oh, gosh. Well, at least Warriors fans now have a lot of time on their hands, because now that the Warriors have been bounced from the playoffs, they can now cheer on the Golden State Valkyries. I had to. It's a SoCal thing. It's business. Anyway, So that is that for the Sparks portion of the show. I'm looking forward to what the Sparks can do this season. I think they have some bright side to them. I just hope that they actually can, do what they're supposed to do and they don't poop the bed. But we shall see. But that's going to do it for the Sparks portion of the show. We're going to take one last commercial break. When we come back, we've got some MLB to discuss, a little bit of some NCAA men's volleyball, and we've got the Dum Dum of the Week. Keep it locked here. You're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, IE Sports Radio family and other sports families. My name is Alden Kay, and I want to welcome you to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. If you're a fan of the Valley and the Grand Canyon State like me, then I've got the show for you. Tune in every week, where I will update you and give you the latest news for the Arizona Cardinals, Phoenix Suns, Arizona Diamondbacks, ASU Sun Devils, U of A Wildcats, GCU Antelope, and of course, the NAU Lumberjacks. Again, if you're a Valley sports fan and like all that is desert sports like me, tune in every week here on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll see you then.
Cleveland and Columbus sports fans, I've got the show for you. I'm Jen B, host of the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. You want football? I've got the Browns, the Buckeyes, the Eagles, the Purple Raiders, and more for you. You want basketball? I've got the Cavs and the Charge for you. You want hockey? I've got the Blue Jackets and the Monsters for you. You want football, aka soccer? I've got the Crew and the Crunch for you. You want volleyball? I'm going to unleash the fury for you. You want more Cleveland and Columbus sports? I've got them all for you, from the majors to the minors to the college rinks. Catch me, Jen B, every week on the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sport.
And we are back with the final segment of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out our amazing shows such as AZ Sports Zone with Alden K. That comes on tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And also check out the Show of the Land with Jen B, who does an excellent job with her show. Anyway, let's get back on into some more SoCal sports action. So we're actually going to talk some MLB. So we're getting close to the end of the show, which is saddening, but it is what it is. So kind of a mixed bag for everybody, as the Dodgers are still doing what they're doing. They're still dominating throughout most of the league for the most part. The Padres are right on their tail. They actually went 4-2 in their past 6 games. And the Angels are still kind of the redhead stepchild with the emphasis on red. So, okay, let's recap this 4-game series against the Diamondbacks. So, first game, the Dodgers wound up losing 5-3, which was unfortunate. It was unfortunate because, well, for starters, losing to a rival sucks. And Yeah, and unfortunately for the Dodgers, they gave up a freaking grand slam to Gabriel Moreno, which really sucks just because he got that off of Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So yeah, that's not what you want to see if you're the Dodgers, losing off of a grand slam. So that really sucked right there. But in their second game, which was a Friday game, the Dodgers wound up winning 14-11 in a nice little football score right there, as the Dodgers need to make a nice little comeback against the Diamondbacks, as they wound up winning 14-11, which Shohei Ohtani hit a 3-run homer to break an 11-11 tie against the Diamondbacks. So thank you, Angels, for Shohei Ohtani. You are actually doing some good. Saturday, the Dodgers wound up losing to the Diamondbacks 3-0, which was very unfortunate, as Corbin Burns just buried the Dodgers for the most part with 7 strong innings. So nothing you could do against that except tip your hat to their pitcher. And then Sunday, the Dodgers salvaged a tie in the series as they beat the Diamondbacks 8-1, which I thought was great. Freddie Freeman and Tony Gonsolin Tony Gonsolin was dominant on the mound as he pitched 5 scoreless innings, and then Freddie Freeman homered as he went 4 for 4 on the day. So good job to those two. Those were kind of the standouts for the Dodgers. So this past week, they took on the Oakland A's. They had Monday off, and then they played on Monday. I think they played on Monday. Nah, first game was on Tuesday. They took on the Oakland A's, and unfortunately for them, the A's smacked them 11-1. So this was one of those games where you would like to forget if you're the Dodgers. So Jacob Wilson was kind of the bane of the Dodgers' existence in terms of pitching. And then the second game on Wednesday, the Dodgers took down the A's 9-3 as they got homers from Shohei Ohtani and 3 others, which I thought was pretty nice as well. As Miguel Rojas also doubled to bring in the go-ahead run in the 6th inning. And as a whole, the Dodgers hit 4 home runs, like I mentioned. So great job for the Dodgers. And then yesterday, oh boy, this was fun right here. This matchup against the A's, the Dodgers just laid the beat down all over Oakland, Sacramento, etc. As the Dodgers curb stomped the Athletics 19-12, or I'm sorry, not 19-12, 19-2, as Shohei Ohtani homered twice, and he drove in 6 runs on his bobblehead night. So what a way to celebrate your bobblehead night, with a strong outing when it came to a rout of the Oakland, Sacramento, whatever they like to be called, Athletics. They're just known as the Athletics, which I think is pretty funny if you ask me. So next up for the Dodgers is a 3-game home series against the Angels, which I think is actually perfect segue to go into the Angels, who lost 2 out of 3 to both I know they played the Padres most recently, but it was the Orioles. So with how bad the Orioles have been this season, the Angels sure knew how to make them look good, as the Orioles the Angels lost to the Orioles the first game 4-1, which, yeah, this was they literally made Tomoyuki Sugano. They made Tomoyuki Sugano look like a beast. So great job, Angels. And then the second game, the Angels actually beat the Orioles 5-2, which is what they should have done, as Matt Lugo was the standout for the Angels, as he had his first ever triple, which was very nice. And then the rubber match between these two teams, the Angels wound up losing 7-3 because Maverick Handley had his first 2 career RBIs, which, yeah, only the Angels would allow his first 2 RBIs. No one else. And then against the Padres in the SoCal series, the Angels wound up beating the Padres to start 9-5, as Taylor Ward knocked in a grand slam, and 6 run 9 inning, 9th inning. that was what the Angels had to beat the Padres. Imagine leading 5-3 going into the final frame, thinking you're 3 outs away from the win, and then you give up 6 runs, and then you wind up losing 9-5. That's supposed to be the Angels losing, not the Padres. The Padres did get the last laugh against the Angels as they wound up winning the next 2 games by scores of 6-4 and 5-1. As Fernando Tatis Jr. hit a 2-run walk-off homer to beat the Angels. Oh, gosh. Yeah, only the Angels would get walked off by Fernando Tatis Jr. And then in the rubber match between the Padres and the Angels, Xander Bogaerts had a 3-run homer in the first inning to eventually just kick the Angels away. Yeah, even though the Angels lost by 4, it felt like they lost by 4T. But the Padres are just too good at home. They're 16-5 at home. I mean, that's just as good as the Dodgers' home record at the Chavez Ravine. But that's just how it is for the Angels. They just straight up stink. I knew this was too good to be true. Everyone was high on the Angels after they were off to such a good start. But then... So there you have it. And by the way, that Padres series win over the Angels came a few days after the Padres took down the Colorado Rockies, winning their series 2-1, as the Padres took down the Rockies 13-9 in the first game on Friday. Okay, that was kind of expected. I mean, this is a Rockies team that just fired their manager. And then, oh boy, this Saturday game against the Rockies, this was ugly with a capital U. For Colorado, that is. As the Padres hit 5 homers, finished with 24 hits, as they just curb stomped the Colorado Rockies 21-0. 21-0. This was almost as bad as when the Angels, what was it? Was it the Angels that beat the Rockies like a couple of years ago in blowout fashion? Regardless, that was a butt whooping. That was a spanking, belt to butt. And then the Padres unfortunately lost the final game to the Rockies. Shame on the Padres for losing to the Colorado Rockies, as they let Hunter Goodman look legit, as the Padres fell to the Rockies 9-3, as he had a triple, a home run, and an RBI. That's making Hunter Goodman look way too good, if you ask me. And that actually snapped the San Diego Padres snapped the Rockies' 8-game losing streak. Which, yeah, come on, Padres, you're better than that. Had they beaten the Rockies, the Padres would have only been, I think, half a game back of the Dodgers. But unfortunately, that's just how it is, as the Padres are back home against the Mariners. Hopefully, for the Padres' sake, they can take down the Mariners. That's going to be a very tricky opponent, just because, well, the Padres are the Padres are good. We all know that. But the Mariners are actually kind of surprising everybody, if you ask me. So we shall see. Anyway, but that's going to do it for the MLB portion of the show. So now let's talk some NCAA men's volleyball. I know I normally talk this on set point on Mondays. Well, Tuesday, with the lone exception of the national championship being on Monday. But yeah, Long Beach State wound up winning the national championship over UCLA. For the second straight year, we got a SoCal team versus a SoCal team in the national championship in men's volleyball. And for the third year, we saw a SoCal team winning the national championship, which I thought was pretty awesome. As I always say, Southern California equals volleyball territory for the most part. Okay, maybe not NCAA women's volleyball, but in NCAA men's volleyball, SoCal territory is NCAA men's volleyball. SoCal territory equals NCAA men's volleyball. Like, 3 of the Final 4 consisted of SoCal teams. The only non-Final 4 team that wasn't from Southern California was Hawaii, and they are still considered West Coast. So there you go. But yeah, I actually did get some flicks from the welcome back ceremony, as I got a picture of Alan Knight. That was him right there talking. Well, that was pretty nice. And then here's a picture of John Perry, the assistant coach, as well as the technical director for Long Beach State men's and women's volleyball, which I thought was nice. Here's me with the national championship trophy, and there's me right here. And there's me right here. But there's me right in the middle with the national championship trophy. No, my smile isn't the best, but it is what it is. And there's the team with the national championship. Let's just get rid of the banner. Boom. Look at that. And how fitting that Moni Nikolov is holding the trophy. But I thought was awesome. And then, personally, I did get a couple of selfies with the players. Here's me with Skylar Varga. Real nice guy. He's going to be playing for the Canadian national team this summer, but he also has one more year at Long Beach State. Really nice guy, really cool guy, and I'm glad I got a selfie with him. But there's also some other news that happened in the NCAA men's volleyball world today, as Long Beach State's Moni Nikolov is going pro after 1 year with Long Beach State men's volleyball. So this was kind of the case last year, as here's a picture of me and Moni Nikolov. So I had a feeling this was going to be the case. Moni Nikolov is one and done after 1 year at Long Beach State. And honestly, I think even if his team didn't win the national championship, maybe he could have been back. I'm not sure, but he goes out on top a champion. What better way to do so than have your first and only year at Long Beach State end with a national championship, which I thought was awesome. Moni Nikolov just shattered every expectations. He had the service ace record. He had 105 service aces, which shattered that record and then some. He was the Big West Conference Freshman of the Year, the Big West Conference Player of the Year, the AVCA Newcomer of the Year, and he was the AVCA National Player of the Year, which I thought was pretty darn awesome, if you ask me. Oh, and by the way, he was named the most outstanding player of the NCAA tournament. So you had that right there. And overall, it was just a amazing first and only year with Long Beach State. But unfortunately, his time has come, and this is it. This is the last dance, the first and only dance with Moni Nikolov. But I'm glad to have covered him when I could. I'm glad to have seen his games in person. I only wish I could have gotten an interview, but if you saw the turnout when it came to Long Beach State men's volleyball matches on the road or away, you will see that it was Moni Mania, or as Alan Knight would say, it's Beatlemania with Moni Nikolov. Like, Long Beach State got to see sold-out crowds at Lewis in Romeoville. They got to see a sold-out crowd at UC San Diego, at UC Irvine. They got to see two sold-out crowds against Hawaii, and they got to see a packed house in the Big West Conference Championship, which I thought was pretty awesome, if you ask me. So all in all, it was just so darn amazing, and this dude was absolutely electric. And I'm glad Long Beach State got to win a national championship with him. Now the big question is for Long Beach State, can they repeat? Because if you're someone who pays attention to NCAA men's volleyball like me, you will know that the trends of back-to-back champions have been occurring since 2012 when UC Irvine first started that trend. Like, UC Irvine started the trend in 2012 and 13. Then Loyola Chicago followed that up in 2014 and 15. Then Ohio State continued that trend in 2016 and 17. Then 2018 and 19, Long Beach State had that trend. Then 2021 and 22, tournament in 2020 because of COVID. Hawaii had that trend. They continued that trend in 2021 and 22. Then 2023 and 24, we had UCLA. And then 2025, it's Long Beach State. Now, do they win a national championship next year? That's going to depend on what their recruiting class has to say and who they get. They returned quite a bit of players. They returned Alex Kondev, Skylar Varga, Kellen Larson, Ben Braun. The list goes on and on when it comes to this team. This team has so much bright side. They do lose Nato Dickinson and Sotir Shapanis. And I feel bad for Sotos just because he had a back injury after the NJIT series and he never came back. I asked him, when are you coming back? And he said he doesn't know. And it sucks because I think Sotos could have easily made Long Beach State's lives a lot more easier. But with his injury, unlocked the new secret weapon of Alex Kondev. And I think it's really cool that Alex Kondev managed to make such a tremendous impact for Long Beach State. So there you have it right there. I mean, Long Beach State should still have quite a bit to their roster. I mean, I know they lose quite a bit to graduation, but I think they still should be fine. They also lose Darius McRaven, who I got to cover at Orange Coast College. So they lose McRaven, they lose Sotos, they lose Dickinson. So they lose three starters. They return Varga. They also lose Moni. I forgot. So they they lose Skylar Varga, or they bring back Skylar Varga. They bring back Kellen. They bring back Alex Kondev. And they bring back Ben Braun. So they bring back quite a bit to their roster. It's just that they're still going to be losing half of their starting lineup. So there you have it right there. That's pretty much that for some NCAA men's volleyball. And that's actually a perfect segue to go into Dum Dum of the Week. So Dum Dum of the Week is an award I like to give out to, which no one is safe. Anybody can get this Dum Dum of the Week award. And Adam Karnick was nice enough to pop into to the chat room on Set Point, and he managed to tune in, which I thought was pretty nice of him. Thank you, Adam, if you're listening wherever you are. So he actually recommended that the NCAA, because they made not one social media post of NCAA men's volleyball, that they should be Dum Dum of the Week. He was actually saying, will they be Dum Dum of the Week? And you know what? Adam Karnick, I'm going to take you upon that. The NCAA is Dum Dum of the Week because they made not one social media post on X or on Instagram this year. Not one. Absolutely disappointing. And they didn't even make their annual national championship post. Normally, the NCAA says, "Oh, there's a big national championship match. You all should definitely watch it. We care for NCAA men's volleyball." No, you don't, NCAA. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. It was an amazing year of NCAA men's volleyball. We got to see one of the most electric players just have a historical season, and we got to see greatness in that national championship. And what did you do? You posted nothing regarding the NCAA men's volleyball season. And I get it. There's only 27 Division I teams, but there's also more Division II teams. Remember, NCAA men's volleyball in Division I is also migrated with Division II, so there's like way more teams than 27. There's like 60 or so. I think 68 or something. Regardless, the NCAA and I also get it, NIL and brands and et cetera, and whatnot. But still, it's like, how do you not even make one social media post? I can make a social media post. Everyone at IE Sports Radio can make a social media post. Heck, high schoolers can make a social media post regarding NCAA men's volleyball. And what are you doing? You are doing nothing. You are hiring no resources. You are not putting your backbone into it. You're not hiring new people to provide coverage of NCAA men's volleyball. You don't even have the mother freaking password to the mother freaking accounts. Just turn the account over to me. Turn the Instagram or X account over to your boy, so I can, run the account and maybe grow the game of NCAA men's volleyball, because it's content creators like me and everyone else that came out of the woodwork this year that are trying to grow NCAA men's volleyball. As I've been saying on social media, I, as well as many social media content creators, are doing what the NCAA is not doing. And because NCAA is neglecting men's volleyball, programs like Grand Canyon are shutting down. And same can be said with CBU back in the 2010s. And then same can be said for San Diego State back in 2001, when they wound up winning a national championship all the way back in the 70s, but they unfortunately just did not have the budget and they had to cut their program. So, yeah, the NCAA is Dum Dum of the Week because they still can't get their heads out of their you-know-whats, because they don't want to post anything about NCAA men's volleyball. It's so saddening and sickening, if you ask me. Something has to change, and I need to be the one that makes the change. If not, we all got to revolt. Okay, that's it. Dum Dum of the Week done. So I guess I should make note of some NCAA softball that UCLA is actually the 9th seed overall. So I actually didn't know about this, but Larry B actually told me this, that UCLA has its lowest. It's the first time UCLA softball has been out of the top 8 in terms of the NCAA tournament since I think 2014, something like that. Either way, it's been a long time since we've last seen that. So it's wild, if you ask me. But UCLA actually isn't the only Southern California team in the bracket. We actually have a few SoCal teams in said bracket, as we have. Where is UCLA? UCLA. Oh yeah, here it is. UCLA. They're They are hosting the Los Angeles Regional. They also have UC Santa Barbara in their bracket. They wound up winning the Big West Conference. And then San Diego State is also in their bracket. So they wound up winning the Mountain West. So good to see two SoCal teams in this bracket. I hate how they're, smushed together. I hate how all of the SoCal teams are all mushed together. Why couldn't we have gotten Santa Clara in this as well? Why couldn't we have gotten Santa Clara, and why couldn't you have taken Arizona State in the Tucson? Maybe it has something to do with being in the same conference. I don't know. Food for thought. So yeah, that's just that quick little update on NCAA softball. I haven't been really talking about NCAA softball, which really sucks, but I promise you I'll cook later on. I just want to kind of end the show soon rather than later, just because I'm still not feeling 100%. I've got this head cold and it sucks because I've got a big time volleyball match that I have to cover. And I might not be able to cover a couple more tomorrow, but we shall see. But on that note, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you to everyone for all of your support. I appreciate you all for bearing with me. If you listen live, I appreciate you. If you listen on the playback, I appreciate you. If you listen at work, I appreciate you. If you listen at any time, any place, anywhere, I appreciate you. For everyone here at IE Sports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Happy 11th birthday to IE Sports Radio. Thank you to everyone for 11 years of IE Sports Radio. Thank you for listening. I will see you all on Monday for Set Point. Have an amazing weekend, everybody. Make sure you wear your sunscreen because it's starting to get hotter by the day. Summer is vastly approaching, and I will see you either later on today at Cerritos College or on Monday for Set Point. Have a great weekend, and remember, SoCal is for SoCal. Peace!